This video is going to not necessarily complete this beginning rhythm pattern, most basic rhythm pattern for all of pop music. It's going to emphasize something that I feel is incredibly important. And it's something that guitar players basically just kind of do. They kind of do this after a while because, pop music, if you hadn't noticed, like when drummers are playing, right? Yeah, the kick could be on, one typically, right? It's the 2 and the 4 that give it this thing called a backbeat. It's just the emphasis of those 2 beats. Not 1, not 3. It's 2 and 4. When you watch drummers play in typical pop approach style, what have you, their left hand, if they're a right-handed player, is playing this thing called a snare. They typically straddle this thing, and they got their left foot over here controlling the hi-hat, and then they have the right foot on the kick, or bass drum, the pedal. The right hand plays some sort of subdivision. It could be a quarter note kind of thing, but typically it's eighth notes. They could do 16th notes, and it depends on the groove and whether it's a straight groove or a swinging thing or a triplety shuffle thing, Left hand, they're playing that snare thing, that drum that's really bright, and it's like inherent in all pop music. It don't matter what style you're playing in. Yeah, you hear that, you feel it. When you're in a room with other musicians, that snare drum is typically the loudest thing in the room. It's everywhere. It's always there in some way. So after a while, guitar players internalize this aspect of pop music, where we're getting hit with a snare drum every 2 and 4. I mean, it's there all the time. And then what we kind of do is start expressing it in our playing, definitely in our rhythm chops. I actually didn't even know I was doing it until I had to break this thing down, this rhythm pattern down. And then I discovered that what I'm actually doing is practically in every type rhythm pattern. Doesn't matter whether it's swinging or straight or double time, half time, blah, blah, blah. I'm always emphasizing where that snare is going. I didn't know. Now I know, and it's something I teach my students like within the first month. I try to get them to start doing it right then. And so here it goes. I'm going to demo this thing. What I am doing on a micro level is I'm taking all the eighth note, most of them, eighth note strikes. Instead of them being a full stroke, I'm going to make them way smaller, So I'm only playing like 1 or 2 strings at the most on those. But then when it comes to the downbeat of 2 and 4, I'm going to use a full stroke at that point in time. And a lot of times, in terms of something like this, that stroke is pretty long. I actually start a lot of times from here and then come down. I don't follow through. The follow through for guitar is not really that important. It is for most other things. Watch that right hand. When I demo this thing, look how short my strokes are. Overall, they're just right there. And yes, they're around the G string. It's not just the G string, but it's kind of around there. I do that for this kind of rhythm pattern because I want to keep my chords kind of bright sounding. So I'm not going to throw it down on the bottom strings or the bigger strings. And I'm not going to stay up here on the E and B strings. I'm going to throw it right kind of in the middle. And again, it's typically just 1 or 2 strings. And it's just going to be around the G string. But when I get to that 2 and that 4, I'm going to throw my arm up. It's going to finally get into the picture, and I'm going to throw my hand down. On those little strokes, I'm not moving my arm at all. When you use your arm, it's too much area. You don't need to do that when you're doing these little guys, okay? You just do this, and you go blink. You move your arm up a little bit, and then strike down to get the 2 and the 4. When you are listening to tracks, listen for that 2 and 4. Notice what that drummer's doing. When they just do a straight funk groove, their snare is on 2 and 4, right? So there's cut time. Like rockabilly stuff. A lot of country things are cut time. Punk music, punk grooves are typically cut time. We'll get into reggae, ska. We'll get into odd time signature stuff. Triplet meter, things like 6/8, 3/4. Look at all that. It's a lot of stuff here. If you take one thing away from me in terms of playing a pop groove, it's this. Okay? Jerry Biden for Guitar YouTube. See you later. See you on the next one. Okay? Got one more. Okay? All right. Bye.